Hello everyone, welcome back to Vedic Enigma. So I hope that all of you are doing great. So in today's video, we will be talking about the planet Jupiter, and we will talk about Jupiter in all the 12 houses. So we will see that what results this planet gives in each and every house. But before I start with the video, I would really appreciate if you like, comment, and subscribe to Vedic Enigma. So it will really mean a lot to me. So let's start with the video now. So as we know that the planet Jupiter is a very important planet in Vedic astrology, and it is also the karak of a lot of houses. So if you see in the Kundali, the second house, fifth house, ninth house, 10th and 11th houses. So these are somewhere governed, controlled, by the planet Jupiter. And for any good thing to happen in your life, the blessings of this planet are very, very important because you will see whether it is your marriage, whether it is, your promotion, or whether it is childbirth. So anything which is connected with, something really big, grand happening in your life, you will see the presence of Jupiter, impacting your ascendant or your fifth house or your ninth house in the transits, or Jupiter might be going over the planets. For example, if you want to look at promotion, so Jupiter might be going over your Saturn, or it might be going in trine to Saturn. So something like that, like, if you, for example, want to see for marriage, and if you're a male native, so Jupiter might be going over your Venus or in trine to Venus. So that is a time when, the blessings of the universe are there with you, and everything happens very smoothly with the help of this planet. So you will see sometimes that people keep on trying for certain exams, for certain competitive exams, and somehow they are not able to get the results. And one fine year it happens that they put in that effort and they are able to get really good results. So that is again because Jupiter might be transiting that house, where certain planets are positioned. For example, if Jupiter is transiting their fifth house, so fifth house is connected with education, so it can bring good results with respect to that. Sixth house is the house of competition. So like this, you can also see that how these transits, especially the Jupiter transit, is impacting you. And we also know that, whenever we talk about anything positive, anything which is benefic or benevolent, we, consider the planet Jupiter for that, because as a planet it helps you to get a lot of positivity, lot of optimism in your life. So every time that a person is very tired and is in a lot of pain because of many challenges that are happening in their life, and sometimes they meet a particular person or some guru like person enters their life, or something just magically happens which brings them from darkness to positivity, so they get a lot of light in their life. So that is again with the blessings of Jupiter. And personally, also, you will experience that whenever Jupiter's time period enters your life, whether it is a Mahadasha or an Antardasha, so you will definitely see the significations of this planet, playing out around you. Like suddenly you can feel that a lot of knowledge is coming towards you. You are gaining a lot of wisdom from different people, or guru like people are entering your life. New people are entering who are guiding you, and they are mentoring you in that manner, or some good guidance is coming your way. And because this is also a very heavy planet, Jupiter, so it also brings in a lot of heaviness, lot of responsibilities also in your life. So this is also a misconception that people have about this planet, that wherever Jupiter is placed, everything will be very positive about it, or you will get very good instant results from that house. So that also does not happen a lot of times. Like for example, I have noticed in charts with Jupiter in the seventh house, for example, a lot of times you will see delay in marriage. Marriage is a big issue. Like they don't get somebody easily, and it takes a lot of time to find the right person for them. So it does bring its own challenges. We will discuss about that also. And that is why it is said that the aspects of Jupiter are considered more positive. So as we know that Jupiter has three primary aspects. So the fifth aspect, seventh aspect, and the ninth aspect. So these aspects are like blessings, on the houses wherever Jupiter sits. So for example, if it's in your seventh house, so it will aspect the 11th house, it will aspect your Lagna and the third house. So it is bringing something positive for the ascendant. It is giving some goodness to the Lagna. And it is also expanding your 11th house. So 11th house is the house of your friends, your network circle. So that is like that area will grow for sure, because it is the planet of growth, it is the planet of abundance. So wherever it is placed and wherever it aspects, those areas will definitely grow and prosper in your life. So sometimes you will see the growth happens in a very odd manner, like it might not be a very direct growth. But when you see that thing in a long term manner, you will see that it happened for the good. So sometimes things like that can also happen. Like, for example, Jupiter in the seventh house can sometimes bring in challenges with respect to relationships, finding the right person. And it can also bring in a lot of people in your life sometimes, because seventh house is the house of other people also. So if, like, suppose I have seen like Jupiter is very strong in the seventh house, so they have met a lot of people, they have encountered so many people, but still they have to put in a lot of effort to find the right person. But ultimately, through all that effort and through all that struggle, they are able to get something really nice. So that is also how sometimes it happens. And we also see that this planet is a very ethical planet. So every planet has its own characteristics, and Jupiter is a very moralistic, very ethical kind of a planet. And if you want to understand it more, you can understand it as, somebody who is a very, I would say, positive, optimistic kind of a teacher, who you can remember from your school or from your college days, who was very knowledgeable and always, loved children, so, and maybe was also a bit healthy. So Jupiter also gives a bit of plumpness to the body. And so these are some of the things which the planet represents, and through this you can also identify that who has a strong Jupiter, who does not have a strong Jupiter. So if you see somebody who matches these characteristics, like is very wise, is very knowledgeable, is always has that warmth to connect with people, everybody loves them, they are surrounded by small children all the time, and also radiates a lot of optimism to people, like whoever they meet, they just instantly, like, their smile is very infectious, or some energy is there around them, which gives you that hope that everything will be all right. And also somebody who is very knowledgeable and has a lot of variety of different knowledge can also be having knowledge of Vedas, for example, mythology, biology, psychology. Like, these are subjects, law, also finance. These are subjects which Jupiter, represents and governs. So if you see somebody like that, you can, immediately see that the person has a strong Jupiter. They might be having Jupiter in the Lagna itself. And I've also personally seen such cases where, I see certain faces and immediately it reminds me of Jupiter. I know that this person might be having a strong Jupiter, and that is how, it also happens that ways. So these are some of the things which you can see about this planet. So now let's start with different houses. So firstly, we will talk about Jupiter in the first house. So first house, as we know, it is the Lagna, and it represents you yourself. So everything which is connected with your body, with your personality, and your entire life basically comes in that. So when Jupiter occupies your Lagna, so firstly you will notice that in this person's life, the significations of Jupiter will play a lot of important role. So Jupiter, like I said, it represents knowledge, it represents anything connected with teachers, with gurus, with religion also. So it's a very dharmic planet. So you will see that professors, teachers, gurus, religion, spirituality, philosophy. So these are some of the things which will have a very strong impact and influence on you. So because it is literally like Jupiter is sitting on top of your head, you know. So, and also you will see the houses that Jupiter is ruling and controlling in your chart. So those living significations will also continuously impact your life. So, for example, with this, if you see that maybe you are a Virgo ascendant and your seventh lord is Jupiter, and your fourth lord is also Jupiter, and it is sitting in the Lagna. So, your mother, your spouse are continuously influencing you and continuously impacting your life. So, you will have to listen a lot to them, to their advices, to their wisdom, to actually help to navigate your life more, because Jupiter is ruling these two houses in your chart. So, like this, also you can see. And because I said that Jupiter is a heavy planet and it is a plump planet, it gives a lot of fat to the person. So sometimes the person has a tendency to gain weight very quickly with this placement. And but you will observe in charts that you will find a lot of charts where Jupiter in the Lagna has made the person very slim. Now why does this happen? So it's because Jupiter is occupying different signs. Like for example, it might be in the sign of Aries or Leo. So Aries, Leo are not really signs that will make the person very obese in that sense, or even for that matter, Capricorn. Like Obama has Jupiter and Saturn in the Lagna and Capricorn. So here we see that Saturn is stronger because it is, in its own sign. So that is also one of the reasons why you will see that not every time Jupiter in the Lagna will make the person like that. But yes, if suppose Jupiter is placed in watery signs like Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, then there is a higher tendency, towards that. And you also have to look at the Navamsha Lagna for this. So that will also give you a better idea. And with this, we also notice that because Jupiter is gaining directional strength in the Lagna, so it is actually very strong. Mercury and Jupiter both are very strong in the Lagna. And so it shows that the universe itself has also given you a lot of wisdom. Such people are naturally like they are born teachers. They can do very well, in mentoring, in counseling, advising people. And a lot of times, yeah, their career decisions are also influenced by Jupiter itself, because the planet in the Lagna is also somewhere telling that what are your inherent strengths, what is your intelligence like, and what are the areas which you will get influenced by and you can do well in that area. And so you will see with this that they can also do well as teachers, as professors, somebody who is a lawyer, or any field where knowledge education is involved. And with Jupiter in the Lagna, from the Lagna, we also see that Jupiter will aspect their fifth house, their seventh house, and the ninth house. So, fifth house is the house which is connected with children, it is connected with knowledge, and it is also connected with your past life. So, Jupiter's fifth aspect, it really makes them very knowledgeable. Firstly, they can learn a variety of subjects very easily, because Jupiter is also a very scholarly kind of a planet. So, you can also understand it like that. So, they are naturally very good with picking up, different subjects, and they also have a lot of wisdom in their words. So like if you try to understand Mercury, for example, Mercury is intelligence, it is connected to information, but Jupiter as a planet is connected more with wisdom. Like what essence can you derive from the information that you have gone through. So that is why they are able to leverage that information really well, and they are able to go at really senior positions also with the help of this. So whenever we talk about somebody who is in a very strong leadership position, to be in that, you require a strong Jupiter. So Jupiter in the first house is one of the placements which actually enables you to do that quite easily. And you will observe naturally, like people who have Jupiter in the Lagna and it is a good, strong Jupiter, its dispositor is well placed, they are actually able to command a lot of respect in the society. Like people do take them seriously because they feel like they know a lot. They have a lot of knowledge, expertise in that area. They are very wise. So they would not, simply just give you any random information. Everything that they are saying, they are speaking with a lot of experience. So that is a difference that, comes up, between Jupiter and Mercury, for example. And you will also see that Jupiter is a very traditional kind of a planet, is a bit old school. So it's not a very, I would say, new age kind of a planet. And it's also religious, like, we know. So these are also some of the qualities which the person will naturally have. They can also have a lot of liking for good food, very rich kind of food, and sweets also, so these are some of the things which the planet really likes. And you will see that with time, their wisdom also grows and their knowledge also grows with time. And from the first house, Jupiter also draws, casts a very important aspect. Seventh aspect falls on the seventh house. So it blesses their marriage, it blesses, it gives a good blessing to the spouse also. And it also shows that there is always something like a protective layer is there, around relationships, around marriage. So that is good for the seventh house related things. And from the first house, it also aspects the ninth house. So ninth house is again connected with, your knowledge. It is connected to higher education. So this particular trine itself, if you see the 159 trine, whenever Jupiter is placed in these houses, it is actually a very strong Jupiter in itself, because these are Agni houses, like Aries, Leo, Sagittarius naturally falls in these houses. And Sagittarius is a sign which is Mool Trikona of Jupiter. So that is one of the reasons why in this particular trine, you will see Jupiter is giving a lot of knowledge, wisdom to the person. So this person can also be very inclined towards, religion, inclined towards going to temples and being more spiritual, being very philosophical with their speech. So all of these things you will, observe in this person. So overall, this is considered a very strong, placement. And they also say, like in the classical text, it is mentioned that Jupiter gives a good protection to the person's life. Whenever it is aspecting the lagna, or in any way, or it is placed in the lagna. So that is considered very auspicious. But at the same time, in my personal experience, also, you will observe that Jupiter in the first house, a lot of times that life is not very easy. Like, it is filled with a lot of responsibilities, and they have to act very maturely in situations. They have to, they cannot be very childish. So that doesn't work in their favor. So the more knowledge they have in their life, the more educated they are, that somehow always helps them. They are able to come out of any life situation with the help of, their gurus, blessing of the gurus, or through their knowledge. So that is something which you will observe with this placement. So now we will talk about the second house. So as we know that second house is the house which is connected with our family. It is connected with our speech, with our wealth, and it is also the house which is connected with your face. So for the face also, second house matters a lot, because you will see sometimes certain planets are placed in the second house and they are having an impact on the person's facial features. So when Jupiter as a planet occupies the second house, so firstly you will observe that this person's family can be very huge. In that sense that they can stay in a joint family or can have a lot of members in their family. So because wherever Jupiter sits, it is also somewhere increasing the aspects of that house. It is the planet of growth and expansion. So that aspect you can notice, and there can also be growth and expansion, in the person's food habits. So, for example, like I have seen certain people, with Jupiter aspecting or influencing their second house, they are fond of, a lot of food and they have a large appetite. So that is also possible with this. And because second house is, the house of your speech, it is connected with, how your language is, how your the kind of words that you use. So with this, you will see that this person has a very positive speech, provided that no malefic aspects, afflictions are there on the second house. So you will see that this person is generally an optimistic person when it comes to expressing their views, for other people. And they always talk good about other people. And with this, if Jupiter is very strong, it can also make the person very truthful. To somebody who is very truthful, very honest, with respect to their speech, and they would not like to lie, unnecessarily. So they are very transparent. So that is a very good, part of Jupiter in the second house. And with this, we see that Jupiter will aspect their sixth house and their 10th house. So a lot of times, when it comes to, for example, selecting the person's career, or for example, predicting the person's profession, like what they can do well, what will be they into. So we only pay attention to the 10th house. So along with the 10th house, it's also very important to see the second and the sixth house, because second house is the, connected to wealth. So it is also somewhere showing your from where your wealth can come from, and the sixth house is also the house of service. So whenever you are considering, seeing profession, you have to look at this Artha trine. So Artha trine is 2, 6, and 10. And because Jupiter from the second house will also aspect the sixth house, the eighth house, and the 10th house. So it is also somewhere influencing your profession. And the person can do very well and can be involved, with banking, with finance, with teaching. So anything which is, very strongly connected to Jupiter, so you will see that their profession is also getting influenced by this planet. And because this is a planet which is, in a way very wise, it is connected with strategic thinking, it is connected with counseling, with guiding people, advising. So something like, even if the person is not doing, is not a teacher, for example, is not a lawyer, but the work itself can involve some element like this, in which they have to use a lot of intellect and they have to use a lot of knowledge for their work. So that is also something which, you will observe with this. And we also see that Jupiter casts a very benefic influence on the eighth house also. So eighth house is the house of your in-laws. It is connected to your spouse's family. So it is giving a good blessing on that, and it can show that the person can have really good supportive in-laws, with this. And there is some kind of a positive influence, which is coming on the spouse's family. And with Jupiter impacting the second house, it also indicates somewhere that this person's source of income, their wealth can come through Jupiterian things, So they can somewhere earn, or they have the potential to earn through universities, for example, through education, and through things like knowledge, So they can, through schools, for example. So it is also possible, they can have their wealth coming from these particular sources. And we also see with this that when Jupiter will aspect the sixth house from its fifth aspect, so sixth house is connected with your mother's younger siblings, because it is three places away from the fourth house. It is also connected with court cases, with fights, and also with social service. So these are some of the areas which Jupiter is trying to bring a very positive influence on these things. So with this, the person can also be involved in volunteering, for example, and in making other underprivileged children more educated. So that is a good cause the person can, volunteer for with this. And we also see that when Jupiter's aspect falls on the 10th house, so it actually helps you to grow and do well in your profession. It is casting a good benefit aspect on the 10th house. So it shows that whenever the person is, stuck in their professional life, in their career, some kind of a help or some divine blessing is coming their way. It can also come from their family directly, because it is the aspect is coming from the second house itself, or some other person, maybe their mentor or some guru, coach like person can help them in their professional life, so that is also possible with this. So these are some of the things which, you will observe about Jupiter's placement. And we also see that, wherever Jupiter is placed, because this planet itself is a very wise planet, it is representing some thing in your life which you really need whenever you are stuck. So anytime a person with Jupiter in the second house is stuck, they can also get really good advice coming from their family. Somebody in their family, it shows somebody is very wise. Somebody can have a background in teaching. Somebody can have be very religious, traditional. So it is also somewhere showing the values, the atmosphere of the family. And somebody from the family can be like Jupiter in their life. So that is also seen with this placement. So let's talk about the next house now, which is the third house. So third house, as we know, it is the house in which Jupiter goes in MK's position, which is not considered the best placement for Jupiter, because third house is the house which is naturally connected with Mercury. The sign of Gemini comes here. So it is a very movement-oriented house. It is a very talkative, communicative kind of a house, because Gemini sign, Gemini energy is very prominent in this house, and it's very opposite of Jupiter's original nature. So that is the reason why Jupiter as a planet does not feel very comfortable in the third house. But third house, as we know, it is connected with traveling also, it is connected with your younger siblings, and it is connected with expression basically. This is the house of expressing things. And it is also the house of your hobbies, your interests, what you like to watch, what do you like to read, you know. And also, it is the house which is connected with your thoughts, with your subconscious mind. So when Jupiter as a planet is, placed in the third house, So firstly, it shows that this person can have a lot of interest, inclination towards reading very knowledgeable kind of stuff. They can be interested in Bhagavad Gita, for example. They can be interested in, very ancient Vedas, Sanskrit things, texts, mythology, all of, these things which are very heavy in nature. So they can have a lot of liking for these things. And it also somewhere makes the person very philosophical also in a way, because Jupiter's seventh aspect will also fall on the ninth house. So it can make the person's father also quite religious, traditional, spiritual, very knowledgeable kind of a person. And the person himself or herself can also have that inclination. And third house is the house which is connected with, traveling, like I said, and it is also connected with things which are somewhere very hidden also, but very private. So that is also the house which is connected with that, because it is 8 places away from the eighth house. So third house also has some elements like the eighth house. So it is a transformative kind of a house. It represents a lot of changes, lot of breaks, kind of things in your life. So with Jupiter in the third house also, you can see that sometimes their life is also a lot very heavy. Like they can have a lot of fluctuations and breaks in their life, coming their way. And they can also have sometimes a lot of difference of opinion with their gurus, with their teachers, with their mentors, or with their father. So that is also possible with this. This is also an MTS position of Jupiter, so that is something you have to keep in mind. So they might not agree very easily to things which are, said by their superiors, by their bosses, or somebody who is in that position. Sometimes there is a lot of conflict that happens in the person's mind between being very logical or thinking, good about other people, thinking about the humanity. So because Jupiter is a very humanitarian kind of a planet, it likes to think about other people. It is very benevolent in nature. And the house itself, if you see that Gemini energy is there, Gemini is a very street smart energy. It is a very intellectual, a bit selfish kind of an energy because it's ruled by Mercury. So it kind of thinks about, its own interests. So it's very opposite of Jupiter. So that is a conflict that sometimes happens with these people. Like I've seen that sometimes they help other people, but, the help doesn't get reciprocated back, or sometimes they get cheated, in that way. So that is why sometimes the person feels that whether I should be helpful or I should not be helpful. So that is a conflict which, kind of comes their way. And with this placement, we also see that Jupiter's aspect falls on the seventh house also. And Jupiter's aspect also falls on the ninth and the 11th houses. So these are the houses which it will somewhere help, these houses to grow. And the fifth aspect falls on the seventh house, so it is connected to your spouse. So this aspect is actually giving a lot of good influence, to the spouse. It is like a blessing for the marriage, and it is somewhere showing good positive things for the relationships and marriage part. And it is also somewhere showing that certain Jupiterian kind of people can come, in their life to help them. And 11th house is connected with your network circle, it is connected with your friends, and it is also a very growth kind of a house, growth oriented house, because 11th house is an Upachya house also. Even third house is an Upachya house. So these are the things like their friend circle, their network circle, and also their source of income, so whatever is coming on a monthly basis. So that is something which Jupiter kind of helps to grow. Over time, you will see that it helps to increase their network circle, and they can also have a very varied kind of a network circle, like people who are very educated, can be a part of their network circle, and they themselves can be surrounded by such people, because you will see that this 3 7 11 trine, this is a trine which is connected with air signs. So Gemini, Libra, Aquarius energy comes, in this particular trine. And this air trine is somewhere connected with your communication, it is connected with meeting people. So that is the reason why you will observe that lot of such influence, comes in their life through other people. Like Jupiterian kind of things come their way towards them through other people. So this is all about the third house. Let's talk about the next house now, which is the fourth house. So fourth house, as we know, is the house where Jupiter naturally gets exalted. It is a sign of Cancer which comes over here. and it is also a Kendra house. So Jupiter feels very comfortable in the fourth house, and it is a house which is connected with your mother, with your homeland, and with your house itself, so with your vehicles. And it is also the house which is connected with your comforts, something which gives you a lot of peace. And they also say with Jupiter in the fourth house, the person has a very good heart. Like even if suppose Jupiter is there in the fourth house in the Navamsha chart also, so the person is very kind-hearted, is very generous, because fourth house is somewhere connected with your internal self, like how big-hearted you are, how much you will do for other people. So that is something which we see from the fourth house also. So with Jupiter's good influence coming on the fourth house, is provided no malefic aspects are there, the person genuinely wants to help people. Like they are kind-hearted people, and they have positive thoughts for other people. So that is the kind of thing which shows up. And these kind of Jupiterian characteristics you will also notice in the person's mother, because fourth house is connected to their mother also. So mother herself can be a person who is very knowledgeable. She can be a teacher, for example, or she can be involved in any work which is connected to Jupiter. And with this, it also indicates that mother herself can be very helpful, for other people. Like she can go out of the way to help people. And it also indicates that the house itself, like where the person stays, has a very positive aura to it. It can give a lot of positive energy in the person's house, in the person's, like things like vehicle also, like in the car or whatever they have. So it shows that some Jupiter influence will be there for sure. And it can also make the person have a very big house or a very big car, or desire to have a very big car or a very big house, because Jupiter is a huge planet, that sense it is not a very small planet. So wherever it will sit, it will try to expand the significations of that house for sure. And we also see that fourth house is the house which represents things which give you a lot of peace, comfort, in life. What are the things which make you feel very satisfied in life? So it shows with Jupiter in the fourth house, knowledge, wisdom, religion, or spirituality. Something out of this can give a lot of peace to the person. Like they can be that person who can maybe read a book, in their house, and they're very happy with that. That is something which gives them a lot of peace. Or whenever they would visit a temple, go to a religious place which has a lot of that Jupiterian energy, they can feel a lot of peace in their life. So it also shows that from where, this kind of thing is coming towards them. And with this, we also see that, fourth house is the house which is also somewhere connected to your spouse's profession, because it is 10 places away from the seventh house. So it can also indicate that the spouse can be doing work which is connected to Jupiter. So the spouse can be into banking, finance, can also be a teacher, can be a lawyer. So these are some of the professions which can be the profession of their spouse. And from the fourth house, we see that Jupiter would aspect the eighth house, and it would aspect the 10th house and the 12th house. And if we study this particular trine also, so this is the moksha trine, like moksha trine, because 4, 8, 12, so like all the water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces are connected through this trine. So this is literally the trine of actually giving away things, because water has that energy to be very benevolent towards other people. Water also remembers a lot of things, it is connected to your past also, but it also has that very unconditional love, you can say. Venus gets exalted in Pisces, and also doing good for other people. That is also something which you will see, like people having very heavy water energy in the chart. You will see them in professions that are humanitarian in nature. So through some way or the other, they are helping people, because this is also the house of letting go, giving away things. Ketu also rules the sign of Scorpio. Moon rules the sign of Cancer. So all the energy is connected with that, like thinking about other people more. So that is why you will see that when Jupiter comes in this trine, so they actually have that very strong inclination to serve other people, to donate things, for example. It also aspects the 12th house. So they would definitely have that strong inclination to do good for the society. And this is also the position which can make the person also very spiritual. They can be spiritually inclined also, and they can get a lot of good guidance, wisdom in their life through some guru, through some teacher. you know so if they try to do meditation, for example, they try to become more spiritual, that is an easy thing for them because Jupiter is already placed in the moksha trine. So, and they can also be, connected with doing things like giving free education for other people, or giving knowledge for free, or like helping underprivileged children learn more. So these are also some of the things they can be involved with. And their profession can also be influenced by something like this because Jupiter also aspects the 10th house. Sometimes it happens that the person's profession is not directly linked with this, but on the side they do something like this or they want to do something like this. So that's also possible, with this placement. A little bit, they have to be careful about their expenses because sometimes it happens that Jupiter's, ninth aspect on the 12th house can increase their expenses in life. It is again an expansive energy. So that is something which can happen. But it is a good placement, like it is a good aspect for getting good sleep, for example, because 12th house is connected with your sleep also. And Jupiter's aspect on the eighth house is good in terms of getting good support from the spouse's family. It can be good for that. So these are some of the things which you will observe with Jupiter in the fourth house. So coming to the next house, which to Jupiter in the fifth house. So as we know that fifth house is the house, of which Jupiter is the original Karak, and it is connected with children, it is connected with knowledge. So if you want to see, for example, your undergrad education, so that can be seen from the fifth house. And it is also the house of Mantra Shastra. It is connected to your past life also. So these are some of the significations which we see from the fifth house. So when Jupiter has occupied the fifth house, it will also aspect the ninth house from there, the 11th house, and also the Lagna. And firstly, we have to understand that this is the Agni trine. It is the fiery trine because Aries, Leo, Sagittarius naturally comes in this particular trine. And this is a trine which is very strongly connected with knowledge. And Jupiter is itself is a very knowledgeable planet. So firstly, it shows that it can give the person a lot of strength, in their life through their knowledge because they know a lot and they have a lot of expertise in whatever they are doing. So through that, people kind of take them seriously and they have that capacity to learn a lot of subjects. So that is a very good blessing which comes from this particular house. And we also see that Jupiter is a very positive, benevolent planet generally. So fifth house is connected with children also. So it shows that they also can have a very positive attitude towards children and a positive attitude towards relationships also, because those are also the things of the fifth house. So unless and until there is no malefic influence coming as such on the fifth house, it shows a good, like a good view about these things in life. And we also see with this particular placement that because its aspect comes on the ninth house also. So ninth house is also the house of father. It is connected with religion and it is connected with philosophy also. So this can also make the person's father very Jupiterian-like in nature. So he can be very knowledgeable. He can be traditional, religious, and can also be philosophical. And the person themselves can also have a lot of interest in philosophy, attending like religious ceremonies, going to temples. So that is something which can make a very, have a very big impact in their life in some way or the other. And with this, we also see that somewhere, whenever their children, like the childbirth happens in their life, so Jupiter would get very strongly activated around that time. And through that, we see that there is a lot of good luck, abundance, growth, prosperity that comes in their life through children. And we all, because that aspect of Jupiter will also fall on the ninth house, so that is connected with your luck, bhagya, destiny also. And Jupiter in this position also somewhere expands the person's network circle. The kind of people that they know, they can have a very big circle, and they can also be having a lot of Jupiterian kind of people in their network circle. So that is also a possibility with this. And the most pious aspect is coming on the Lagna, because Lagna is connected with you yourself, your personality, your health. So somewhere it shows that Jupiter's blessings are always there with you. There is like a protective layer that the person has. And it is also good for the person's longevity, like they say with Jupiter's aspect coming on the Lagna. So these are all the things which we observe with this. But sometimes it is noticed that in spite of having Jupiter in the fifth house, childbirth, for example, or education, there is a lot of delay and or there is a lot of effort that goes into that process. It doesn't come to be very easy for them. Like I had given an example in the earlier part of the video that Jupiter in the seventh house, people think that oh, it is amazing for marriage and it will make the marriage very easy for the person. That is not always the case. You will see a lot of times with a very strong Jupiter in the seventh house, marriage is actually very difficult for them. It's not an easy process and they have to go through a lot of things in their life to actually find the right person. Similarly, with Jupiter in the fifth house, also the process of childbirth, might not be easy for them, or the process of relationships itself cannot be easy for them because sometimes it happens that there are a lot of people who come in their life in the form of relationships, and because it also somewhere expands the qualities of that house. So it shows that there is a lot happening in that particular house. Or sometimes it can also indicate in that sense that they are maybe pursuing something which has a lot of degrees, like they are a doctor, or they are doing a PhD, for example. So they have to study a lot. So the amount of knowledge which is coming in their life is also huge. So these are some of the things which they have to deal with. So that is also something which you will notice with this placement. So you will see a lot of times people who have done PhD and they're into academic, things. They are, lawyers or doctors or, professions in which there is a lot of knowledge exchange which is involved. So they can have Jupiter in one, five, or nine houses. So these are some of the things which you will observe about Jupiter in the fifth house. Coming to the next house, which is the sixth house. So whenever Jupiter is placed in the sixth house, so what are the results? So sixth house, as we know, it is a malefic house, and it is the house which is connected with Saturn in a way, because Saturn is a Karak of the sixth house. And sixth house is connected with diseases. It is connected with fights, with disputes, court cases, loans, with small animals, also with service, like doing seva for other people, and also a routine oriented house. So it is a house which has a lot of structure to it, and a lot of things happening in a very systematic manner. So with this particular placement, you will see that firstly Jupiter has come in the Artha trine. So you will see that 2, 6, 10 houses are Artha Trikon trine, and these houses are very strongly connected with your wealth. It is connected with your profession, your wealth. So Jupiter, whenever it occupies any of these three houses, it can have a very strong influence on your career matters. You can be involved in doing work which is connected to Jupiter. Provided you have to see, suppose other planets are also in this trine, so they can sometimes overpower Jupiter. But if suppose Jupiter is alone in this trine, there is no other planet, so it can have a very strong say on your money related matters and also on your career. So the person can do well, can have an inclination towards, banking, finance sector, or, towards law, for example, or towards any profession which is connected to teaching in which there is a lot of knowledge involved. They can also be a consultant, like a strategic consultant, strategic advisor. So again, like professions in which there is a lot of counseling, mentoring, guidance of some sort involved. So they can be involved in those things. But Jupiter, what it tries to do, like with Jupiter in the sixth house, they are generally not the people who like to fight a lot, with other people unnecessarily, because it is a benefic planet, it is a benevolent planet. And sixth house is a very harsh kind of a house, it has that cutthroat kind of an energy. So you can see Saturn and Mars are having a lot of strong influence, hold grip of the sixth house. So that is why malefics perform best in the sixth house. Jupiter as a planet is not the best to have in the sixth house. But because even if suppose other people are doing, like some fraud or something wrong with them, they are still very forgiving towards other people. Like that is one quality. So sometimes because of that, they can fall into traps, because maybe they are too helpful, they are too benevolent, or they are too forgiving towards other people, and sometimes people can take advantage of them. So that is something which you have to be a bit careful about with Jupiter in the sixth house. Also, in terms of health and diseases, it can sometimes give issues of the liver to the person, blood related, like blood sugar related issues also can come with Jupiter in the sixth house because its aspect also falls in the second house. So they can sometimes have a lot of, craving for sweet, rich kind of food or having a lot of food, like because it is somewhere expanding their appetite also. So that is something which they should be a bit careful about. And also with this, you will see that they can be very good problem solvers, anytime a person needs help, they can give lot of good guidance, advice, something like that to the other person. So for that, it is a good, placement to have. And with this, again, another thing which you have to be careful about is your expenses and your loans. So Jupiter in the sixth house, because it also aspects the 12th house from here, so it can give you that, some probabilities there to either expand your expenses or the person has a lot of loans on their head. So that is also possible with this. And with Jupiter in the sixth house, we also notice that, it is connected to small animals, also it is connected to doing seva. Like I said, so they can actually be involved in very social, humanitarian kind of causes also, for animals or either for underprivileged children. So things like that can also attract them naturally. So that is also something which you will notice with this. And we also see with this placement of Jupiter also, it can sometimes give a very large family to the person. Like they can stay in a joint family or they can have a lot of members in their family. Or somebody in their family can have a very Jupiterian kind of a background. They can be into teaching, education, or they themselves can be very knowledgeable. So that is also something which you will observe with this. But over here, Jupiter can have a lot of, importance in your wealth and money related matters. You will see that the person can also earn their livelihood through Jupiter related things. So that is something which you will observe with this placement. So coming to the next house, which is the seventh house. So seventh house, as we know, it is the house which is controlled by Venus. The sign of Libra comes there, and it is also a Kendra house. It is connected with other people. It is connected with marriage, with relationships, with business. And it is also the house which is 4 places away from the fourth house. So it can also indicate your mother's home. It can show your mother's mother also. So these are some additional things. And also it can indicate your father's elder brother. So that is also seen from the seventh house. So when Jupiter comes in the seventh house, so firstly you will see that these people have a very positive outlook towards other people. They are the people who can trust other people very easily, and they don't have a lot of like good people attract, like they attract good people in their life naturally. Especially if you see that this is without any malefic aspects and Jupiter is strong in the seventh house. So you will see that they generally always come across, like very nice people, who are very kind, helpful, and Jupiterian like in nature. And I have seen this so many times that some people have like Mars, Rahu in the seventh house, they have Saturn, Ketu in the seventh house. So with this kind of placements, they are always somehow attracting very wrong, negative kind of people, like people who are not the right people for them. So what kind of energy you also attract towards yourself, that is also seen from the seventh house. And so they are, with Jupiter in the seventh, they're attracting like knowledgeable people. They're attracting people who will be knowing more than them, So that is something which we see from this. And secondly, like I said, that I have seen personally in charts where with Jupiter in the seventh house and very strong Jupiter, like exalted Jupiter, and also in Pisces and Sagittarius, they have issues in marriage, like in getting married, because they are not able to find somebody easily. And marriage itself is a big challenge for them. So again, this is something based on personal experience and seeing the charts. So this is not something which is written in classical text, but with this you will observe. The more charts you see, the more you will see that this is a problem area for them. Like it's not that Jupiter in seventh house will give you a very early marriage if it's very strong. It delays the marriage, and it also makes the person like meet a lot of people. So that is also something which you will see, like it is expanding the qualities of the seventh house, it is, a lot of people are entering your life. So it's expanding that ways, but it is a big journey. It is a big struggle to find the right person. And also, you will see that around the time of the person's marriage, something Jupiter related will definitely happen, or, that is how it will get triggered. So, like Jupiter is connected to temples, it is connected to education, so they can maybe have some new degree coming their way, some new education coming their way, or just completed their education, just got the degree, and then they got married. Or like they can have some temple visit, like major temple visit can happen, pilgrimage can happen around that time. So some Jupiter influence happens in their life, through which they get married. And you also see that whenever they find the right person, there is also some positivity, some benevolence which they find in the environment, like, how what they feel towards the other person. So that is the natural energy of this planet. It is a positive planet, it is a benevolent planet. And whenever it is about to give marriage, so it will definitely bring in that sudden positivity in your life. And also with this, you will see that if the person is doing business, for example, so again, in business also, it can indicate a lot of initial struggle, lot of like, effort going into that, so again, that part is also like not a cakewalk, it is not something which is like very easy. And, but the good part is that, they always get good people coming towards them, so some help, some, like again, like some divine intervention is always coming their way. So that is something which is like a protection, from Jupiter in their lives. And also with this, you will see that Jupiter aspects the 11th house, it aspects the Lagna and also the third house. So it can also, increase the person's network circle. You can have a lot of Jupiter, like people in your network circle, it can expand that. Or whenever they meet, new people, whenever they make new connections with people, they meet their friends, there is always that positive bubble, that is coming their way. And also, because it is coming on the Lagna, also the aspect, so it is good for the person's, health, point of view. And also, again, from longevity point of view, it is also good, Jupiter's aspect coming on the Lagna. And in the third house is connected again with traveling, it is connected with expression, it is connected with your younger siblings. So in all of those things also there is some protection, there is something which is always helping them and is always somewhere, like they are blessed, with respect to third house thing also. So these are some of the things which, you will observe with Jupiter in the seventh house. And with Jupiter in the seventh house, I've also noticed that the kind of people that they get attracted to, or the kind of person they want in their life, is also very much Jupiter-like. So with this, you will see the person talking about, I want somebody who is well educated. I want somebody who's very truthful, honest, is very moralistic, very ethical. So again, all these are core Jupiterian principles, so very principled planet and very traditional. So they would want somebody of their own culture, caste, community, somebody who understands their family values and somehow, is able to like have a very mature, wise understanding about things. So their initial liking is towards somebody like this. Whether you are a male or a female, you will always want somebody like this in your life. Whether you will get it or you will not get it, that is dependent on the Navamsha chart. So you have to see the seventh house of the Navamsha chart. You have to see Venus if suppose you are a male. You have to see the position of the seventh lord of the D1 chart in the Navamsha chart. So these all details will give you some extra information, but this is something which, is generally observed with Jupiter in the seventh house. And we also see that because Jupiter is a very truthful, honest, moralistic planet in itself. So even when they're dealing with, for example, in partnerships, like in business, so they would also want a partner who is like Jupiter, like they would expect that kind of a thing from the other person also. And sometimes it can happen that because this planet is so benefic, like it is a very kind-hearted planet. So sometimes people can also take advantage of them because they trust people too easily. So that is some problem which that can come their way, that they are not able to judge the person very effectively sometimes, and they end up trusting people very easily. Because of that, they can get betrayed, at times in business partnerships or in relationships also. So that is something which they have to be a bit careful about. And this mostly happens when you have like malefic planets also aspecting, the seventh house, or the seventh lord is very badly placed. So those things also matter. So coming to the next house, which is the eighth house. So in eighth house, as we know that it is connected with private hidden things. It is a very secretive house, and eighth house is connected with your spouse's family also. It is also the house of inheritance, and it's a very dark, hidden, mysterious house. So eighth house is also connected with things like occult research and all of these things. And it is basically anything which is very ups and downs of your life, like sudden events of your life, things which are very unplanned are seen from the eighth house. So when Jupiter occupies, so with Jupiter in the eighth house, so firstly you will see that eighth house is also a malefic house, just like the sixth house. So it is connected with a lot of ups and downs in the person's life. So or anything which is very chronically, giving a lot of pain or suffering to the person. Something like that is also seen from the eighth house. So when Jupiter occupies this house, now because it is a benefic planet, so it tries its level best to help the person in whatever way possible. But at times you will see that because it is also a very heavy planet, it also brings in a lot of big responsibilities in the person's life. So their life is not so easy, or sometimes they are surrounded by a lot of challenging situations which they have to navigate. But the good part is they always get some help. It is not as if they have to, you know, be in a very, I would say, dark or a very in that kind of a zone. Because I have seen some people with Jupiter in the eighth house, very drastic, challenging things have happened to them, but still they are very optimistic and hopeful. So that is the attitude with which they are able to handle such big things also very easily in their life, because their attitude towards these things are very in the right place. So that is the help which Jupiter kind of gives them. So sometimes you will see that strength is coming through their belief in God, towards they are maybe spiritual, they are very religious, or they have a guru, mentor, somebody, some person like this is there in their life who always kind of has their back. So their backing, their support is very strong. So that is something which you will see with this. And because eighth house is also the house which is connected with occult, it is connected with very hidden, dark, mysterious things. So the person can also have a lot of knowledge about occult, like about astrology, and also can have an inclination towards research. So they can also go into academic research. So that is also something which we see from this. And because again, this is the moksha trine, like just I was mentioning about in the fourth house part also. So in the fourth house, eighth house, 12th house, whenever Jupiter comes, so it is also position which is kind of has to give out more to other people in life. So you have gotten this position because in some way, certain help has to be done from your end for other person, for any person it can be. But it is a very, I would say, non-selfish kind of a placement where they have to give out more to the world, they have to serve the humanity in some way. So that can also be through their knowledge or because they are in that position where they can help people. Like I have seen a chart, in which the person has Jupiter in the sign of Taurus in the eighth house, and they have helped so many people in their life to gain a livelihood. Like they have given them a job, so they have helped them to get jobs in life. So basically in their career and all, they have helped other people who were not who were not in that position where they could do a lot for themselves. So things like that you will observe with some placements of Jupiter like this one. Even if Jupiter is supposed in the 12th house, so it can also show something like that. And also with this, you will see that because eighth house is the house which is connected with your spouse's family. So you will see the spouse themselves can have a very big family. They can come from a joint family. And they also have a lot of positive, benefic influence, on the spouse's family is there. So you can have really good in-laws with this. For example, you can have very supportive people, or very Jupiterian like people in the spouse's family. Spouse themselves can have also a very large appetite. That is also possible. And the spouse can be very truthful, honest about their words, their speech, because it is also the second house for the spouse. So things like that also you will see. And this person themselves will also be very, very, I would say, they don't really know how to lie, because Jupiter is a very transparent planet. It also aspects the second house from the eighth house. So it shows that the person is somewhere very truthful, very honest, in all their things. And they don't know how to camouflage or, make up things on their own. So that is something which you will observe with this. And also with Jupiter in the eighth house, you can observe that a lot of times their luck, bhagya also undergoes a lot of transformations and changes. So this is something again you will see. And wealth also undergoes that fluctuations, that change comes in the way, because Jupiter is also the karak, of the second house. It is also the karak of the ninth house. So ninth house is connected naturally with your bhagya luck, and Jupiter is also the planet which is responsible for how lucky, how fortunate you will be in your life. So it shows that because it has come in the eighth house, so there will be major transformations which will happen in the person's bhagya and luck in life. And also with Jupiter in the eighth house, you will see that because its aspect also falls on the 12th house, so it can sometimes increase the person's expenses also, because 12th house is connected to expenses. And Jupiter has that ability to expand, it is the planet of growth. So it will give growth, it will expand whatever it will also aspect. So from the eighth house, it aspects the 12th house, the second house, and also the fourth house. So it will give growth in those areas for sure. Even with respect to fourth house, you will see that there is growth in the person's properties, houses, also, for example, or the number of vehicles that they can have. So it can give growth, for those things as well. It also somewhere shows that the person's mother can be very Jupiterian like, she can be religious, traditional, very knowledgeable, so some kind of influence of Jupiter will also come on the mother. And also, I see that because it is also aspecting the second house and fourth house are very strongly connected with your home, with your upbringing, with your values. So the kind of family in which this person is also, born and brought up into, that family also has that solid, foundation of education, very strong backing in maybe being very religious as a family. So some Jupiterian influence you will definitely observe in the person's family also. Family can also be a bit conservative, traditional about things, and they can also be like they have to make the children in the family very educated, so focus is a lot on those things. So these are some of the things which you will observe with Jupiter in the eighth house. And at times, if Jupiter is malefic in the chart, so it can also bring in problems related to this planet's significations in the person's life. So, for example, education can be problematic for the person, or the person might not have that much education in their life. That is also possible, or they did not study that much, because Jupiter is naturally the planet of education. It is a planet of knowledge. So that is a possibility with this. Or during their education time, some breaks came, their way, some challenges came in their education, schooling. That is also possible with this. It can also show some challenges, maybe like if you are a female, so in childbirth related things, related to children, especially. So in things like that, it can show some problems coming in if Jupiter is malefic in the chart. But that is the thing that overall you will see that whatever happens in their life, they always have that ability to bounce back from it very strongly, because Jupiter over here gives you a very strong resilience, in your life. And somehow, because the person is so, I would say, um, has so much faith, in a higher, I would say, in a higher self, something which is connected to the universe, something which is connected to God, religion. So the person is not scared so much in the person's life, because eighth house is a house of fear. It is a house which is connected with anything which can happen suddenly. So it is a very uncertain house. And when Jupiter is in the eighth house, it gives you that ability to navigate through these uncertainties. So because that faith is so strong that something or the other, the person feels he will be able to figure it out. So that is something which is there very strongly in this house. Coming to the next house, which is the ninth house. So ninth house, as we know, Jupiter is also the Karak of this house, and it is again a fire trine, 159. So Jupiter is very strong in the ninth house because this is also the house which is the moon Trikona sign of Jupiter. So Sagittarius sign comes in the ninth house. And this is again the house of learning. It is the house of knowledge, higher learning, wisdom, and it is connected with philosophy, with foreign travel, with father, with religion, universities, education, things like that. So a lot of themes you will see are naturally connected with Jupiter itself. And with this particular placement, you will see that a lot of times, because it also aspects the fifth house, it also aspects the Lagna. So it naturally makes the person very knowledgeable about things. Even if they would not have studied a lot, like they don't have a lot of degrees, but they have, something in their personality through which they are able to attract other people towards them. Like other people do listen to them and they do take them seriously because somehow they feel like, they are convinced that, this person knows a lot. So that is something which you will observe with Jupiter in the ninth house. Also, because ninth house is connected with your father, so with your bosses and people who are your mentors. So you will observe that generally they get good people, good mentors, good bosses in their life with Jupiter in the ninth house. And again, father can also have a lot of Jupiterian qualities in them. So their father can also be very traditional, knowledgeable, religious as a person. And with this, we also observe that Jupiter's seventh aspect falls on the third house. You know, so third house is again connected with your expression, with what you speak. So again, what this person has, because they have so much of philosophical touch, in their speech, they have a lot of wisdom. So they are able to really impress people around them, because of the Jupiterian things which are, coming to other people. And they can also give really good advices to other people. They can counsel people really well. So with this particular placement. And because its all aspect also falls in the fifth house, so it shows that it gives a good blessing on the person's children, on relationships and things like that. So these things become very positive in the person's life and they somehow have a protection, children have a protection, relationships have a protection coming, with this particular placement. And we also find that, like I said, Jupiter in the ninth house also makes a person very, I would say, morally conscious. Like it makes a person very ethical and they actually don't want to do anything wrong about, connected with religion, connected with politics, related to education. They are very, very cautious about these things. Or somehow you find that if somebody is doing anything unethical connected to these particular areas, then they actually get really angry about those things because these are somehow very important triggers for them. So, because it shows that somehow their moral upbringing is very strong, you know, and their sense of truth is very strong. So, in everything in life, they are viewing their life through, from this lens. So they are not the people who would want to maybe unethically get something for them. So that Mercury related behavior somehow diminishes with this particular placement because they want to go by the legal way and they want to do everything ethical. They don't want to hurt anybody unnecessarily. So these are the kind of qualities which naturally comes, their way. And because again, ninth house is also connected with your knowledge, it is connected to higher education. So you can find that these people can also educate themselves a lot in Jupiterian related things like law, finance, biology, psychology. So these are some of the subjects which Jupiter naturally represents. So they can either have a lot of knowledge about these things or they can get some degrees in these particular areas. And whenever they travel like to different countries, whenever they get exposed to different countries, through that actually they are able to expand their horizon in life. Like there is a lot of growth and there is a lot of, I would say, new wisdom that comes their way the more they travel. So with this particular placement they should definitely travel and expose themselves more to as many cultures, as many countries as possible. So that will always help them. And the more they also educate themselves more, the more knowledge they gain in life, the more elevated they feel. So with this particular placement, you can see that their knowledge, somehow their degrees matter a lot when it comes to getting a job. So some Jupiterian like person can also help them to get a job. So that is something which, like your professor, it could be your teacher, your mentor, somebody who is maybe your guru also. So those people will matter a lot. Like their advice and their thing will create a very big impact and influence in the person's life. So these are some of the things which we can see with Jupiter in the ninth house. So coming to the next house, which is the 10th house. So 10th house, as we know, is the house in which Jupiter naturally gets debilitated. It is a sign of Capricorn over here. And Jupiter is not very comfortable as such in the 10th house because this is the house of Saturn. And Saturn is a planet which is connected with hard work. It is connected with a lot of routine oriented things. And it is a very structured planet. So it likes things which are very organized. And also, if you notice the nature of Jupiter and Saturn, like Saturn is a very cold, dry planet. So, like, sometimes you meet people who don't have a lot of warmth in them. They are very cold and they don't like to, maybe that positivity is not there. They don't smile much. So, they can have Saturn dominant in them in some way. And Jupiterian people are very opposite of that. They are very, smiling face. You can find them. They are very positive, very jolly, full kind of people. And they somehow that have that very high positive energy around them. So that is a basic difference you can see. So that is why Jupiter as a planet is not very happy, is not very comfortable in the 10th house. And 10th house is also the house of your career, your profession. So Jupiter over here, whenever this placement comes, it actually makes the person's, I have observed many charts in which the person's career journey is not easy, you know, like it's not very smooth, I would say. Like they have to undergo a lot of transformations either, or they have to undergo a lot of changes for sure, in their professional life. Only after that, they are able to reach to that level. So there is a lot of hard work and effort which gets involved in that. But again, there is again, because Jupiter is placed there, some kind of again divine intervention, some help always comes their way. So that is something which, because it is a benefic planet, it always tries to protect, that particular aspect. But still, it is not an easy journey, because like I said, it is a heavy planet and that heaviness does come in, in their way. And 10th house is also connected with, reaching the top. Like it is connected with a lot of growth that happens in your career, in your professional life. So it is connected to status, power, reputation, image, all of those things. So to achieve all of those things in life, the journey is a bit difficult. And you will also see that it is not always necessary that because Jupiter is there in the 10th house, so the person will be a teacher or, will be doing some work connected to Jupiter. But you will observe that no matter whatever work they do, some Jupiter influence will be there directly or indirectly. So it will matter a lot, like how much knowledge, for example, they have, how much wisdom they have or how much expertise they have. So that thing will always help them in their career graph. So their education, degree, knowledge, and how much, people are actually respecting them, or how much respect they can command from other people, how much seriously people are able to take them. These things will matter a lot in their profession. You will see that. And also sometimes you will see that the kind of work also that they are given, it is somewhere influenced or impacted by Jupiter. So some knowledge related thing will be there in that, some counseling, advising can be there, involved in that particular job. And because from the 10th house, it also aspects the second house, the fourth house, and the sixth house. So again, it is placed in the Artha trine. Artha trine is the 2, 6, 10 trine. So this is very strongly connected with your wealth and your career profession. So you will see that their source of money, like their source of earning, can also come through some Jupiter related thing. So maybe they are working in a bank, they are working in a university, or they are, working as a lawyer, for example. So these are some of the areas which Jupiter represents. And you will observe that the problem that sometimes they have with this particular placement is that Jupiter as a planet is a very intellectual planet, in that sense. Like it is not a very laborious kind of a planet. Like it is not like Saturn. So Capricorn energy is there in the 10th house. And Jupiter as a planet is a planet which is somehow a bit slow paced, and wants to work in its own way. And in Capricorn, there is that rigidity which comes into the way because, Saturn is like a very boundary kind of a planet. Like you have to do a 9 to 5, for example, or, you cannot change anything, you cannot alter much. So that is sometimes the kind of frustration that can come in the person's life, that the energies are very different. So that is a Jupiter. If you see, it gets exalted in the sign of Cancer, which is just opposite to it. And Cancer is a sign which is ruled by Moon. So Moon has that flexibility. Moon has that intuitiveness. So that is somehow missing in Capricorn. So this is sometimes, this can be frustrating, for the person, for somebody who is, whenever you are working in any job. So this problem can come into the person's, way. Or sometimes you can observe that Jupiter related problems can sometimes crop up. So Jupiter related as in things connected to religion, things connected again to your bosses, to your mentors. So anything which Jupiter really represents. And also you will see that its aspect comes on the sixth house also. So again, it makes the person actually very diplomatic at the workplace, because Jupiter itself is not a very aggressive, violent, kind of a planet. It wants to make everybody very happy, and it does not want to fight, just like that. So sixth house, that's why they say that malefic planets do well in the sixth house, because malefic planets know how to fight. So that is sometimes again problematic in this, that sometimes at the workplace, other people can maybe take advantage of them, or they think that this person is too sweet, or, they won't say anything. So they can't, sometimes that toughness, gets reduced with this placement. So that is something maybe they have to work more on, like how to be, a bit more assertive maybe at the workplace due to that reason, or sometimes because they're too kind to other people all the time, or they always listen to other people. So that can be mistaken as, maybe being too soft. So this is something which, they should work on. So coming to the next house, which is the 11th house. So 11th house, as we know, it is connected with your friends, with your network circle, and it is also an Upachya house. It is connected with growth, and it is also the house which is co-ruled by Rahu. So again, it's a very ambitious, go-getter kind of a house. So when Jupiter is in the 11th house, so firstly you will notice that the 3, 7, 11, these three houses, the air signs come in these houses naturally, which is Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. So these three houses are very social in nature. It is connected with other people, it is connected with going out. So a very extroverted kind of an energy you can, sense from these houses. So whenever Jupiter, like, for example, is in your 11th house, it will aspect the 7th house, it will aspect the third house. So it generally makes the person more focused on, going outwards, more focused on meeting people, socializing with people. They can also have a very big social circle with this. Or maybe in their own family, like I have seen, they have a very big extended family, they have a lot of cousins. So something like that, you can observe with this particular placement. And because 11th house is connected with, your network circle, with your friends also, so you will find that some Jupiter influence will also come in those people. It can also come in your elder sibling in case you have one. So they themselves can be very knowledgeable, and they can be religious, they can be traditional. So Jupiter related characteristics you will observe in them as well. And from the 11th house, Jupiter also aspects the fifth house. So it casts a very benefic aspect with respect to your children, with respect to relationships. So it is giving a good blessing, for those things. It is also casting a very good blessing for the marriage because it aspects the seventh house from there. And because you will see that 11th house is again the house which has the Saturn energy in it. Aquarius sign comes in the 11th house, and Aquarius is ruled by the planet Saturn. And because this is an Upachya house, so it is taking time to grow. This house is something which does not grow instantly. And Jupiter also as a planet, as we know, it is a planet of growth, abundance, luck, prosperity. So all of these things you will see that they do come in their life, but it is sometimes a bit delayed. you know, the level that they aspire to reach, that doesn't come in that quickly. It takes a bit time to reach to that level. But you will observe with Jupiter in the 11th house that over a span of so many years, if they see, so they will see a very good growth happening in their life generally. And as far as with dreams and wishes are also concerned, because this is also the house connected with our aspirations, with our dreams, hopes, wishes. So I have seen with Jupiter in the 11th house, sometimes the person has a lot of dreams, aspirations, wishes connected to Jupiter related things. So, they are the people who don't sometimes wish too much for themselves, but they would wish a lot for children, for their children, for example. Or they would wish something for their guru, for their teachers, so again, Jupiter related people. Or the houses where Jupiter naturally controls in your house, in your chart, for example, like if Jupiter controls the seventh house, so it can be for the spouse, like they wish a lot of good things for the spouse. And if suppose it is the ruling the ninth house, so it can be connected to father. So things like that also you can observe with this. But generally, you will observe that, if suppose at any point of time you feel stuck in your life, and you feel that who is the person that you should go out to, for getting advice. So really good advice or really good suggestions or some help can come to them through their network circle, because Jupiter is naturally placed in the 11th house. And if this Jupiter is good, it is positive for you. So it shows that you can actually get a lot of help. Some blessings can come your way through 11th house related people. And this also shows that if you see the 11th house, it is 5 places away from the 7th house. So it is also indicating your spouse's fifth house. So it shows that the spouse themselves can also be very knowledgeable. They can have a very different like variety of knowledge with them. So that is also possible with this. And it also indicates that their father can have a lot of short distance travels, because like a lot of traveling the father has done. Because if you see from the ninth house, then 11th house is 3 places away from itself. So these are some additional things which you can observe. And from the fourth house, if you see, this place is 8 places away. So it is the mother's eighth house. So it can show a mother herself can have some chronic problem related to Jupiter. So Jupiter also gives, Jupiter controls the pancreas, for example, some liver related problems it can indicate. So these are some of the things which you can observe in the mother's life also with Jupiter in the 11th house. So like this, you can see there are a lot many things which, you can observe with this particular placement. But you will see that, wherever Jupiter sits, that place itself is not, I would say, has the maximum blessings, but the aspects from where Jupiter aspects, like the houses, those houses actually get the true blessings of Jupiter. So in this case, in the 11th house case, it will be the seventh house, it will be the third house, and it will be the fifth house. So it is very good for, these particular houses. So these are some of the things which you will see with Jupiter in the 11th house. Coming to the last house, which is the 12th house. So 12th house, as we know, it is connected with losses, it is connected with expenses, and it is again a malefic house, just like the 6th house, 8th house. And it is also the house of donations, it is the house of giving away things. It is connected to moksha, it is connected to foreign countries, and a very isolated kind of a house. So when Jupiter occupies the 12th house, so firstly it shows that it has come in the moksha trine, So moksha trine is naturally connected to giving away things. So in this case, what is it really that you have to give away? It is your knowledge. It is, everything connected to Jupiter, like philosophy, and it can also be anything which you have studied, like read somewhere, which has a lot of wisdom to it. So that is something which you have to impart to other people. In certain cases, it can also show money because Jupiter is also the karak of the second house. It can show wealth also. So either the person is very much interested to donate these things, to give out knowledge for free to other people, or it is somewhere their Jupiterian karma to do that. So somewhere you have received this position of Jupiter because the universe somewhere wants you to help other people through Jupiter related means. And in this placement, you will also observe that it generally gives a good sleep to the person because it is a benefic planet and 12th house is connected with your sleep. So unless and until there are no malefic aspects coming on the 12th house, it is good for that. And it also makes a person quite imaginative. So they are imaginative in a very different lens. Like they are not, I would say, very creatively imaginative, but more so, I would say that imagination is coming in a Jupiter format. So they tend to think very big about things. Like they are not the people who would think just of today or tomorrow. They have a very good vision for the future, because Jupiter, again, like I said, it is an expansive energy. So it wants to expand your vision more. It tends to give you really good ideas. It tends to give you good imagination for how you can do things in your life. And this position also gives a lot of wisdom to the person, because 12th house is a very hidden, private kind of a house. It is very isolated, but it is also showing what is going in the person's unconscious mind. What is the energy which is guiding the person's unconscious mind while they are sleeping. So it shows that Jupiter is controlling, or Jupiter is placed in your unconscious mind. So there are good thoughts, in the person's mind, and the person has a very can have a very big vision, for their life, on how they want their life to pan out to be in the next 10, 15 years. So these are the kind of things which, Jupiter kind of influences their mind with. And if you see, 12th house is also just next to the first house. So 12, 1, 2, like they all are in some way connected in that sense. So it also indicates that this particular placement can also bring in certain characteristics of Jupiter in the person themselves. So I have seen certain people who have that Jupiter related things with this particular placement also of Jupiter in the 12th house. And you will see that 12th house is connected with, the sign of Pisces very strongly, like Pisces energy comes. So this person is more spiritual rather than religious. That inclination, Jupiter will make the person more spiritual. It will make the person more, away from the crowd. They would like to be more in isolation. Then they would feel more at peace, because from the 12th house, Jupiter also aspects the fourth house. So, fourth house is connected with your peace, with your comfort, what gives you true happiness. So, if the more this person connects to knowledge, the more this person actually goes into meditation, becomes more spiritual, becomes more philosophical, and they, read the Bhagavad Gita, for example, they become more wise in life, the more peaceful this person will become. And over here, sometimes, if certain other planets are also connected, it can also increase the person's expenses way too much. Especially if suppose Rahu is also aspecting this house, or Venus is placed there, Mercury is placed there. So some Rajasic planets are also placed with Jupiter, or Jupiter is in the sign of Libra, Taurus. So it can make the person spend a lot of money. So that is something which, they have to be a bit careful about. And from the 12th house, Jupiter also aspects the sixth house. So again, sixth house is also connected with service. It is connected with doing good for other people. And it is also connected with fights, like any kind of disputes, any kind of, legal cases. So again, with this placement of Jupiter in the 12th house also, they are very, I would say, non-judgmental kind of people. They are very non-violent kind of people. They don't want to fight unnecessarily with any person, and they are very diplomatic and peace-loving people. So even if they have to fight, they are not able to fight sometimes. So that is also sometimes one of the drawbacks, of having this particular placement, because anytime Jupiter tries to impact the sixth house, it tries to make the person more peaceful, more harmonious towards those things. But if you want to do good for other people, if you want to really help the society in some way, then Jupiter in the 12th house is a very good position for all those things. And also, you will see that Jupiter in the 12th house can also sometimes make the person very sattvic, like because 12th house is also connected with bed pleasures. So they might not be interested in that too much. But if you find that Venus or like some other planets are influencing this Jupiter, then you can see things might change. But suppose you find a very strong Jupiter, like Jupiter in Sagittarius, Jupiter in Pisces in the 12th house with no malefic aspects. So you can find this person has more interest, towards spirituality, has more interest towards all sattvic things. The person is not so materialistically, driven towards bed pleasures, in life. So these are, all the things which you can see with Jupiter in the 12th house. And also, one of the aspects of Jupiter falls on the 8th house. So, 8th house is again connected with your in laws, it is connected with inheritance, it is connected with other people's wealth. So, when Jupiter aspects the 8th house, it can indicate the person can actually get good in laws. It can, show like a benefic influence coming on the 8th house. So spouse's family can be helpful. Spouse's family can be religious themselves. They can be traditional. So these kind of things you can see, or the person has a good relation with the spouse's family. Now again, you have to see the planets in the 8th house also, but generally this is something which you will observe in this placement. So these are all the things about Jupiter in all the 12 houses. So I hope that you learned something new from this. Thank you so much for watching and see you all the next time.